So today I want to talk about patterns. Nowadays, I observe that we are not conversant with the fact that there is something called patterns. And I mean something that has existed in a particular family that is being transferred from one generation to another. So if we take a good look at the history that we are being told about our forefathers, and it is the fact that when any of their children is going to be getting married, they always carry out a kind of background check on any family of interest that they want their children to be married into. People don't have the freedom of just waking up one day and saying that, okay, I think I have feeling for this guy. I think I have feelings for this lady. So let's get married. Yeah. So what they do is they carry out some background checks. And what are they trying to achieve? They want to be sure of what pattern actually exists in this home, in this family, in this lineage. Has there been an history of violence, a kind of disease, a kind of sickness from one generation to another? Is there a kind of behavior that has been transferred from one generation to another? Do they have a good reputation? Because they have a belief that an apple does not fall far from the tree. So that every child has a tendency of repeating what his or her parents have exhibited over a period of time. And this is true. The scripture says that train up a child in the way that he should go, so that when he is grown up, he will not depart from that path. And one thing I have come to make conclusions about is the fact that there is no parent that is actually not training their children, whether consciously or unconsciously, because children get to be trained by what they observe their parents doing. It's not just by what parents tell them. So, having lived under your parents' roof for more than 20 years, you have watched them behave in a particular way, you have watched them do some things, and whether you are conscious of it or not, you have imbibed those behavior. And the truth of the matter is that you don't get to know that these behaviors or patterns have become a part of you unknowingly until you have become an adult. It is just like a seed when it is being planted. When you plant a seed, there is a time when it's going to germinate. There is a time when it's going to grow into a tree before eventually you are going to see fruit on it. And that is exactly what happens with patterns. You don't know that you have gotten some things from your parents because it takes time for these things to be seen in us. So while you are still growing up, you don't know that you have imbibed this behavior. So an example is a man who was raised by a father who is controlling, aggressive, and probably beats his mom. There is a very high tendency that he's going to repeat the same thing by the time he's married. And mind you, he will not even know that he has imbibed that behavior, because while growing up, he would have hated that behavior. Because that's where the irony lies. The kind of dysfunctionalities that we see in our homes that we don't like, that we dislike a lot, and we are so much angry about. At the same time, we are not aware of the fact that we have learned those behaviors. And behaviors that are learned, it takes some situations to expose them in us. And another example is a lady who was raised by a mom who is constantly hungry, with her husband. Maybe at any slight provocation, she's all over the house, abusing the husband, this and that. She might have hated that behavior. But by the time she gets married and some conflict comes up, and she will just find out that she's exhibiting exactly the same behavior too. And this is how it works. Patterns are real. And this is what to do, not to repeat the same dysfunctionality that you have seen with your parents in your own home. One, self-awareness is key. You need to sit yourself down, reflect on how you grew up, What are the things that you have seen that played out with your parents, whether positive or negative? By the time you are done doing this assessment, sit down, try to assess your own self. Try to look at the traces of the same pattern that you might have been exhibiting over time, because it's going to help a lot in marriage. This is where a lot of married people have issues. They just wake up one day and they are angry at their spouses, like, my husband is like this, my wife is like this. But the truth of the matter is they are just exhibiting what they have learned from their parents while they were growing up. It's an involuntary thing if not taken care of intentionally. So there is a need for us to become very intentional about what has happened. Begin to renew our mind towards the norm, because there is actually the norm. There is a way a home should function, and there is dysfunctionality. So we want to get rid of dysfunctionality and ensure that our homes function the way it has been designed and how it should be, so that we might be able to enjoy this relationship that we have with each other. So I mentioned self-awareness, reflection on the past, and then there is a need for self-improvement. Sometimes it will need the help of some therapists to be able to help us to process some emotions that we might have gathered while growing up, that needs to be resolved so that we can become better people to the world around us and the society, and be able to produce a better generation. Yeah, thank you.